great class.
Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Melanie Mirzayan. I'm the owner of Wild Bakes and Cakes here in Texas. Well, it's the rainy Texas right now, or Dallas. Thank you so much for joining me in this class. Today, we are going to make very cute Halloween mini pies. We will have the one-eyed monster and our friendly ghost, mummy. Not ghost, mummy. Either way, it'll be spooky, it'll be fun. For the recipe for the pie crust and the filling, I had it included in the class handout. So I hope you guys were able to grab that and kind of make it before class. So if you're following along, this is going to be super easy. It's probably going to be a little bit of a shorter class just because there isn't a lot of steps that's involved in making it. And again, if you're not making it with me, the class is recorded and you can watch it on YouTube, Michael's YouTube, I believe after 24 hours. And you can kind of follow along and kind of make it at that point. I know a lot of people, they're working and they have kids, so the time sometimes doesn't work out. But for today, we will start the process. All right, can we go to the top-down camera, please? Okay, so we have our one-eyed monster, well, half done, and our friendly mummy half done. Obviously, we don't have time, or I don't have time to bake the pie during class. I had to pre-make it so I can show you guys how to decorate it once we get to that step. Okay, so I will show you guys that in a minute. Put that away. All right, so for today, you are going to need your pie dough. I usually like to make my own. And like I said, I included my recipe, which is, it's also a galette pie crust recipe. Galette is a flaky, kind of buttery French pie crust that's delicious. So if you wanted to do something different, not a traditional pie crust, go ahead and use that recipe. It's actually really easy to make, just a couple of ingredients and it's delicious. Okay, so we're going to need our pie dough and your filling. So for this class, I went with cherry filling. Obviously, you can make your own, whether it's blueberry, whether it's cherry, whatever it is that you want to do. It doesn't make any difference, okay? I'm just going to go ahead and go with cherry. And also for our one-eyed monster eyeball, you are going to need either a cherry or a grape, something that's kind of small and round, like a fruit, obviously, that's small and round, for the eyeball. Okay, so if you're using your blueberry filling, make sure you have something that's, small, round, for our eyeball. Okay, I hope that made sense. So we have our filling ready to go. For our decorations, for our mummy, we're gonna need our eyeballs. Okay, doesn't matter what size. And for the one-eyed monster, just to make it a little bit more realistic and make it super cool and kind of creepy, we're gonna go ahead and paint the eyeball with our white color, okay, food coloring. A tiny brush, okay, because it's easier, because it's going to be a very fine line that we're gonna draw on the eyeball. So the brush needs to be super fine, like small, the smaller the better. Okay, and we need our circle cutters, round cutters. You don't necessarily absolutely need them, but it will make your life a little bit easier making these pies, okay? And of course, Michael's carries this cool pie pan. I already went ahead and greased mine, ready to go. And this is where we're gonna put our pies, okay? All right, so I'm gonna clean up my area a little bit and then we're gonna get started. One more thing, when we finish off our pies and we are ready to put it in the oven, it looks a lot better when it's kind of got that golden crust on top, right? Not burnt, but just like super golden. It makes it look a little bit more creepy. And for that, I also included a egg wash recipe. Super easy. It's just egg whites, a little bit of sugar and water, and we brush the pie before we put it in the oven, okay, just to kind of get it that golden kind of crispy look. Okay, you can also use milk, brush it with milk. That also kind of brings out the golden colors, so that's another option to do that. Is it absolutely necessary? No, it's just a preference. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna put a little bit of flour on my working station, and then we are going to get started on rolling out the dough and forming the pie crust. All right, so let me get that out. All right, so let me get a little bit of flour. All right, so for your pie crust, sometimes they want the crust to be already cold when you pull it out of the fridge before you roll it out. To me, sometimes that becomes a little bit challenging. So what I do is I'll just make my dough and I'll go ahead and get everything ready to go, get the pie ready, and then I'll put it back in the fridge just to kind of like chill the dough so the butter kind of comes out crispy when it's baked. You can do it that way too. So my dough is not cold. It's kind of room temperature. And I'm just going to get a little bit, roll it out for the base. Okay. All right. So we're just going to roll out our dough. You don't want it to be too thin because you don't want the filling to kind of fall deep out of the sides or your pie to fall apart. So you want it to be a little bit on the thicker side, but obviously not too thick, okay? And once you make a couple of these, you'll get a hang of it too. It's like, oh, okay, now I get it. You know, when I'm forming my dough in my pan, it seems a little thin, so I'm gonna have to make it a little bit thicker. All right. So the pan that I'm using, it's got these little circle grooves already in there. And I found a cutter that's kind of similar size just to make my life a little bit easier. It doesn't have to be exact size. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it out. All right. Use that later. And see the thickness a little bit. It's kind of on the thicker side, and I'm going to roll it out a little bit just to give myself enough room to be able to cover the entire opening. Okay, so just kind of gently roll it out from all sides. Doesn't have to be a perfect circle because you're going to have to mush it all in anyways. All right, so that's one way of doing the crust with these things. All right, so see, it's still a little bit thicker, not as thick as it was because I rolled it out. All right, so now you put it in there and then gently just kind of form the crust. All right, make sure it's like nicely sitting in there. The walls are all covered. It's okay if it's coming out a little bit, that's fine because we're gonna mush the top on top of it anyways. All right, so what you're trying to look for is the bottom portion. If it's too thin, you're going to start to see your pan, and that's not a good sign. Okay, so you want to make sure it's thick enough so you're safe putting your filling in there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do my other one as well. So I have two to show you guys. All right, so I'm going to roll this one out. And it's easier to get all the base rolled out first, set it in your pan, and then go ahead and do your filling and your topping. All right. But for this class, I'm just going to do step by step just so you guys kind of see how I make these guys. All right. So I think that's kind of enough space for me to cut my base. All right, now I'm going to roll this out as well a little bit. Just go all the way around. Gently roll it out. Okay, again, you don't want to go too thin. Okay, I think that's good. Back. All right, so I'm going to put it in. I'm going to form it into its place. All right, got everything nicely covered, and I'm ready to go to do the filling now. This out of the way. All right. So like I said, I made my cherry filling, and I used frozen cherries and a little bit of salt. I think I have the recipe here. Obviously sugar and a little bit of lemon. Okay, and the sugar, it really depends on you, how sweet you like your pies to be. You can put a lot here, or you can put a little bit in the filling and then kind of top it off when you have your pie crust already filled. And I'll show you guys that too. That's a little trick that I like to do just to make sure if I feel like my filling wasn't sweet enough, then I'll add it at this phase. Okay, so you want to fill it up and make sure your filling is not too juicy, okay? Because you need that cornstarch to kind of soak up the juice. Because if it's too juicy and soupy, once you're baking it, it's all going to ooze out. I mean, it's still going to kind of ooze out, but you want to kind of control that, okay? So I'm going to put this on there. You don't want to put too much on it, so I have this like bumpy kind of pie. I mean, you can for a regular pie, but for this one that we're gonna decorate, you kind of want it to, your filling to sit there nicely. Okay, it's filled enough that we have enough filling, but it's not, you know, oozing and pouring out of the sides. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill this one as well. I love cherry pies, they're my favorite. And I know there's like bazillion different recipes with different spices you can add. I just kept mine pretty simple because, to be honest, my family doesn't really eat a lot of fancy, spicy desserts. All right, so we have two ready to go. We're gonna make one of them the one-eyed monster, and then we'll turn the other one our friendly mummy. All right, so let's work on our one-eyed monster first. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. Now we need to cut another circle to cover the top of the one-eyed monster pie. All right, and it's the same process. We're gonna roll it out. Now for the top, you don't want it to be too thick, okay? You don't want it to be as thick as the bottom, but again, you also don't want it to be too thin because then everything will just kind of ooze out of it. All right, so I'm gonna roll it out a little bit, give myself enough room to cut my circle. Okay. And I'm gonna roll this out again just to make it wider and easier for me to form the top of the pie. All right, so I'm just gonna roll this out to have enough room to work with. All right. All right. I got the top ready to go. And all you have to do is put it on top of one of the pies and kind of make sure you are attaching the bottom to the top, okay, with your fingers. just like that. So you're just squeezing, smushing it in there and making sure that it's connected. The bottom and the top is connected. All right. You could get fancy with the sides and make them look all ripply and cute. Totally up to you. But I just want to make sure it's all nice and sealed on all sides because I don't want the juices to come out more than it already needs to. Okay. So I think that looks good. Nicely set. Now we're going to do the eyeball. So again, for the eyeball, I'm going to use a cherry. You can use a grape. You can, I imagine you could probably use like one of those round candies as well, but the eyeball looks creepier, okay? So I have my cherry. I'm going to put it in the middle. All right. You can even do, so I did one eye. You can maybe do two eyes. You know, it's totally up to you, but we're going to go ahead and do the first one. So now I need to cut a circle that's going to go over my eyeball. All right. Or the cherry, I should say. So we need a little bit more of the pie crust dough. And this one, again, you don't want it to be too thick and you don't want it to be too thin, but you definitely want this portion of it to be a little bit on the thinner side, okay? Not that you could see through it, but there we go. I don't know if you guys could see it. It's not paper thin, but it's thin enough. All right. And I'm going to just use another round cutter just because these cutters make my life easier. All right. There we go. I'm going to test this out. So if it goes on top, I think we should be fine. All right. So now we're going to cut our circle, not in half, but just kind of maybe quarter of it will pop off. All right. So we have kind of this half moon shape going. Okay. Make sure you guys see that. So now we're going to cover the eyeball. So this is essentially the eyelid, right? So that's the ball. This is the lid. And you want to go halfway over your cherry. All right, just like that. Because you want to be able to see the eyeball coming through from here. And then gently squeeze in the sides all the way around to make sure you have it nicely sealed on top of your pie. You don't want to squeeze too hard because then, you know, obviously you're going to poke into your pie. So just kind of gently work through all the sides and kind of blend it in. All right, blend it into the top. Okay, so now we have our creepy eyeball looking at you. And once we bake it, then like I said, we'll go ahead and paint it, okay? But that's obviously when it's done. So now we're gonna move into our mummy. And for the mummy, all we need is just long strips of the dough. All right, so again, go ahead and roll it out. And this one, you want it to be a little bit of a bigger area because you're gonna have to cut strips. All right. And the thickness, again, you don't want it to be too thick because then it's not gonna look good. You don't want it to be paper thin because then it'll just kind of fall apart. It's just a medium thickness, if that makes any sense. All right, so just kind of roll it out as even as you can. All right. See if you guys could see thickness there. Oh, a little bit more. All right, so I feel like I have good space to work with. You can either use a knife to cut this. You can use a pizza cutter, whatever is easier for you. All right, and all we want to do is just cut straight strips. All right, So we're going to start from the edge. We're not going to use that just because it's got the ruffly sides. We want them to be straight. And our pie is not that big, so we don't want to go super chunky strips. We want to do kind of reasonable looking, about that big. All right, and just kind of cut a few out. And if you don't use it, then that's totally fine. You can, move it back to the ball, to the dough. But I'm just going to cut a whole bunch of them and then kind of go from there. All right. I think that's pretty good. Make sure you guys could see this. All right. So now we have our mummy. So I guess the key is layering, right? Layering, but leaving enough space where you could kind of see the inside of the pie. All right. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's super fun. So get creative and just kind of do what you can. And all you have to do is attach one side gently to the other side. Okay. And then you can cut the excess off. Make sure that it's attached to the dough. All right. Grab another one and just kind of start layering at like different angles, kind of creating like a spaghetti bowl looking thing. All right. One thing to keep in mind, you want to make sure you have a little bit of area open for the eyeballs. Okay, so just kind of visually think, okay, I'm going to put my eyeballs here. I'm going to keep this little area open. I'm not going to cover it with the strips. Okay, so just kind of then have fun. Keep doing it until you fill the top. And it doesn't have to be all the way across like this. If you have a short one left, you can just kind of put it on top, just like that. Just find a place for it. It's all I'm saying. And just kind of, picture what a mummy would look like, right? And go all the way. And you don't want to keep them all the same direction. You want to mix and match, okay? Just to make it look a little bit crazy. Just like that. All right. And as far as how much you should do this, it's totally up to you how much of the pie you want to cover. Again, there's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's just giving it that mummy wrapped look. Okay. Just like that. I'm going to put this maybe here. All right. So I think this is good. I want to make sure my sides are nicely blended in to the bottom of the pie. Okay. And now we're going to do our eyeballs. This batch had big ones and had little ones, and it's totally up to you if you want to have your mummy to have big giant eyes or not. Okay, so get those ready. We don't want to put this on right now while we're baking it because some of the candy stuff ends up melting in the heat and it turns into a total disaster. So once you get your eyeballs picked, okay, now we're going to put our egg wash over our pie, which I already pre-made. And again, it's egg whites, a little bit of sugar and a little bit of water. And you mix it. All right, and just kind of cover the top of your pie because we want it to turn nice and golden color.
Okay. Melanie, you really haven't heard from me because there hasn't been any questions. I think there are some that are making them right along with you.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I was going to say, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat and I'll make sure we get to it. I'm just busy trying to explain this whole process. All right, so now it's all nicely covered with my egg wash. and I'm ready to pop this in the oven. Now, again, remember, if you are working with a room temperature pie dough, then this is where you put it back in the fridge and let it kind of get cold for about 30 minutes or so, and then put it in a preheated oven to bake it. But if you already started with a cold kind of dough, then go ahead and pop it in the oven, okay? So I'm gonna clean this up a little bit while my pies are baking. I'm gonna show you the final touches of our pies. All right, a bit clean. All right, so my pies are out of the oven and it's ready to go. So see how the juices kind of end up oozing out anyways. That's okay. So here's my pie, the one-eyed monster. All right, nicely sealed, perfect size for one person or two. And we have our mummy one, same thing. Kind of ready to go, just showing you guys how it all looks. Okay. Again, for the mummy, it's super easy. All you're doing is you're just adding your eyeballs to it. Gonna have it sit there. So just find your spot that you already saved, or if you know things kind of got bigger and you lost your spot, just find wherever. Again, there's no right or wrong way of doing this, right? I'm gonna have mine have a big eye and a little eye. My pie's falling apart here. All right. So that's my mummy. And for the eye, just to make it a little bit more creepy and real, we're gonna draw with our white food coloring, we're gonna draw a tiny line, a skinny line at the bottom, just to kind of give it that eyeball glare. Okay, obviously you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but if you want to put in the extra effort and make it look cool, that's kind of what we're going to do right now. All right, so I have my white color. And all you need is just a little bit. Okay, obviously if you're making a lot of pies at the same time, you're going to need a little bit more, but for now, so we're just going to dip. Make sure you cover your brush tip nicely. Okay, kind of like that. And then we're going to draw a line, kind of like a half moon line all the way across the bottom. Just like that.
Hey, Melanie.
Yes.
We had a good question that came through asking, it says that in the recipe for the pie dough, the instruction says to mix the flour, sugar, and salt together, but the ingredient list, there's no sugar. So we just wanted to...
Yeah, I was gonna go ahead and fix that. So for the dough, you don't necessarily need sugar, okay? Especially for the galette, the French pie recipe, they don't put a lot of sugar in there. So that's kind of an added thing that if you want to, you can add a little bit of sugar in your crust, but you don't have to, okay? Sorry, I should have clarified, I guess, on the recipe sheet. I'll fix that for the next one. But yes, if you want your dough, your crust to be a little bit on the sweet side, go ahead and add the sugar in it when you're making it. I necessarily don't, just because I know my filling is already going to be sweet. So, and I don't like my desserts to be super sweet, so I don't put sugar in my dough. But if you wanted to, you could. Okay, so if you didn't, no big deal. I hope that kind of answered, helped with that one. So that was my bad. I should have clarified. All right. Any other questions on ingredients or how to make the pie or decorating these fun little guys?
There's
Let
no
me know.
other question. I think the one that did come through, I did answer it, asking what to have the oven set for. So I know
Oh,
in the instructions, it says preheat to 375.
yes. Yep. And it's usually about 25 to 35 minutes. My oven, I ended up putting these guys in there for about 45 minutes, especially try to get that kind of golden color. So it all depends on your oven too. You know, some like for me, like I said, my oven, any recipe I work with, I already know that I'm gonna have to leave it there a little bit longer. Okay, so just kind of gauge. If you pull it out after 25 minutes and you're like, yeah, it kind of doesn't look done, or the crust doesn't look great, put it back in for, you know, another 5 to 10 minutes. You obviously don't want to leave it in there too long and burn your pies. So after what the recipe calls for, just kind of keep your eye on it, okay? And just see what works. All right. So these pies are, you can put them in the fridge. You can leave them on the counter for a couple days. Usually pies for me, they don't taste great after 2 days. They kind of get soggy and moist. But what I would do as far as storing them after the first day, I would probably put it in an airtight container and then put it in the fridge. Um, Maybe for 2 or 3 days, it just depends. But after that, like I said, it's not that it goes bad, it just kind of starts getting a little bit soggy and gross. Okay, in my opinion. So that's kind of little disclaimer on how to store them. Okay, if you have extra dough left, you can wrap it up in plastic wrap in an airtight container, and you can actually freeze them, okay, for a couple of months or so. And you can pull it out, bring it back to room temperature, and then make your pies. All right. So if you have, like I said, extra ones, don't worry, you can use them 2 months from now. You just have to freeze them properly. All right, guys. If you have any questions that come up after the class, you can get a hold of me on Instagram, Wild Bakes. I'm usually pretty active there. I also have a Facebook account. If that's easier for you, please go ahead and leave your messages there as well. If you already have them done or if you make them in the future, I would love to see how your pies came out. So if you post it, please make sure to tag me or send them to me. It's always fun to see what everyone does in the class, just because I can't see what you guys do here. It's it's cool to take a look, and you know, people have their own perspective on what mummies look like and the eyeballs look like. So it's always cool to see the creative outlet that some people have. All right. With that said, my next class is, gosh, it's already end of October. So Halloween is getting wrapped up with this class, and we're moving into kind of fall Thanksgiving classes that are coming up. For November, I have 2 classes, and they're actually going to be on Saturdays. I don't know if that works better for some people or not. But the schedule is changing a little bit, so make sure you take a look. I usually post my next class on my Instagram bio, so you can always go and take a look to see when it is and what time. But the next class for Thanksgiving in November, I believe it's November 4th, and it's going to be super cute. They are little strawberries. How can I explain it? They're chocolate dipped strawberries that look like turkeys. Okay, a whole turkey. And it's super fun to make. If you're interested in something like that, I will have the link ready to go after this class on my Instagram, Wild Bakes. Just go ahead and sign up, and I hope to see you guys in that class.
And Melanie, really quick before you sign off, there
Yes.
is one quick question asking, where did you get that pan or the plate that's holding them in?
Okay, so the plate I actually got from Home Goods, believe it or not, but the pan for my pies, I got this from Michael's. And I know I was actually there yesterday. I know they still have them, and you can order them online if they don't have them at the store.
And I
So
truly apologize. That was the wrong thing. It was actually the they're like a little paint dish. that you have to
Oh,
put
this
your learning?
little guy. Oh, I
Yes.
got that from Michael's as well. They have, if you go in the art section where they have all the brushes, I got my brush from there. I got this from there. They have different shapes, different sizes. So it's all in the art section, if that helps to locate them faster. And again, you know, same thing with the color, the food coloring I got from Michael's as well. Okay. And I know they usually offer a lot of coupons. So make sure you grab that before you go in there. It helps. That's what I do.
I am so glad you said that. And just as a quick note, there are, I do believe this week there is a 50 and a 30% coupon. So definitely take a look when you go onto michaels.com to actually see the coupons that are available if you're not already on the Michaels Rewards.
Yes, they have them all the time. So, you know, I always tell my students, if you are trying to buy anything for your baking that you know you're going to be using for a long time, they always offer coupons. So go that route. It makes things a lot easier just to be able to buy a lot of different things. Okay. That's what I do. All right. If you guys don't have anything else, thank you so much for joining me in this class. I hope you had fun and learned something new. And I will see you guys in my next class. Have a great day, everyone.